Hello, thank you very much for being here. First, I'll start with the obvious question. Anyone expecting UFO landing here? I'm sorry for you. UFO stands for User Feedback Overview, so this talk is going to be about user feedback, about reading comments, and a little bit of AI. First, let me start. How often do you read your user feedback from your customers? So who reads the feedback daily? So, applause for you, please, because daily it's often. Who reads it weekly? Okay, so it's me. Who reads the feedback from a customers monthly? Okay, I see a little bit more hands. So does it mean that you don't read the feedback from your customers, from your users? Okay, maybe it's a shame. So let me start something about us. We are both Michaels. You heard about it. I'm lead software engineer, sometimes product owner, sometimes architect. I have a strong background in QA, and you might have heard I am a fan of chaos. I have here my colleague. He's a senior software engineer and my personal chief data scientist. We are Gen Digital. We are a cybersecurity software house. Some of you might be using our products. If you see or you have any issues with our products, we will be here somewhere, so please find us, but please don't beat us. Yeah, we will try to fix your issue, but just please meet us. We are quite a big company, about 450 million customers all over the world. The story why we are here. How did it happen that two Michaels are staying here on the stage? It is that about 3 years ago, there was a company named NortonLifeLock, another company was Avast Antivirus, and we were both antivirus companies protecting users from the cybersecurity threats. But you know, the technology changes, market changes, there are business opportunities, so we merged into one company. Because if there is a merger or acquisition, there is a potential of synergies. And because we were doing similar things, so that means that there will be some cost optimizations. In fact, what it meant for us, that about 30 million paying Norton customers or users were expected to be migrated to the new technology stack. And you know, when you are doing this kind of a big user, big acquisition or a merger, it's expected to be fast, because until you work together as one company, people are still working in their silos. So it's expected to be soon to be working as one company. There was a massive amount of work expected. Timelines were set extremely aggressive, and all is about the money. So the stakes on the table were really high. The bonus was the KPI said that we can lose only 0.2 customers. The biggest problem of our situation was that we are end user antivirus. We are a Windows company, or we are using also Mac, but this was only for Windows. You can have 2 laptops, but people tend to install there more and more software. There are many configurations, so basically it's impossible to test everything. And our question was, okay, that we know how to migrate, but how will we guarantee the quality that it will work for everyone? So we will lose only those 0.2% of our customers. Somehow we knew that it's going to happen to be incrementally. Yeah, we cannot just push all those 30 million users at once and okay, the next day it will be there. So we use the shift-right testing approach, or I more prefer it to be like testing in a production approach. With the migration program, we prepared few key metrics. Like the first metric was crash for 10,000 devices. Another metric was uninstall rate and support contact volume, so we do not DDoS our environment. Yeah, we prepare a couple waves. Every wave was expected to be larger than the previous one, and the progress for the next wave might be only when all the issues from the previous ways are being fixed. This is how it looked like, yeah? I don't know how you can see it. Am I staying here, right? So this is March last year. We just released the new product. Then, a few days later, about 2 weeks, we released to the first country about like first 20,000 users. Then, you can see here, the long period, it doesn't mean that we were doing nothing. It meant that we were fixing the problems. And then it continued until we get to the 30 million. Now let's start with the current cohort. New Zealand, amazing country. Only one disadvantage, it's on the opposite side of the world than Prague. Yeah. So we had our testing cohort, 20K users. What we have seen that the uninstallation rate is pretty high there. Support tickets, no support tickets, no one complained yet. But still something was there. But there were no product crashes, like product worked for everyone. We didn't have any clear diagnosis like what is happening. The thing is, and this was the lizard issue, people had different firewall profile prepared and their printers were not working. But how we got this information? It was through the user feedback form, yeah. You know, in our UI, in a top left corner, there is a button, give a feedback. And this is how it looks like, yeah? 5-star rating and a place where you can put the comments and write what is happening. All the feedbacks are going to the database. Mikhail prepared here a Looker dashboard or a Power BI dashboard where there were feedbacks and what our product managers were doing. Okay, Looker dashboard, export the things to Excel and label it manually. Like then on a daily stand-ups, it was like, okay, I do have 7 installation issues, I do have 5 firewall issues, I do have another. But they did it daily. It was 60 feedbacks, manageable, no issues. But then we a little bit opened the pipes to the new wave, yeah, and it was like 150 comments per day. And it was like, okay, so PMs were like not capable to do this. In fact, that it took them hours like to go through all of these. They called us for help. And honestly, this is how it looked like. PM came to me and asked me, hey, Michael, I cannot handle that. It's a lot, and please, can you help me? Can you do it? Can you do it for me? Like, can you label it this in Excel? And I was like, oh my God, are you going, you know? But I'm a good guy, so I say, hey, no worries, I will handle that. You know, and he was like, okay, ChatGPT, Excel, please, can you categorize it? But then Michael was going in a hallway, and I told him, hey, Michael, can you do an agentic system which will do it for us? In about 1 month, he accepted the challenge, and in 2 weeks, he had a first prototype.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi, I'm the other Michael, and now I will talk you through my side of the story and how it came together technically. So, imagine that you are me, a software engineer, and you are doing your thing. Meanwhile, a PM comes and asks you if you could spend some time labeling feedback by hand. And you say, of course, like, it's 2024. Are you seriously asking me to do this manually when we have all of these large language models and other stuff? And while I'm saying this, I'm thinking, well, I might say this, but I will spend these hours doing it manually anyway, right? Because I don't know how to do it. But imagine my surprise when management was actually excited about the idea that we will do it with AI, we will automate it this way, and they even tell me to do it. So, and imagine my even greater surprise when I actually delivered it, right? So let's start with a problem statement. We have several hundred comments of user feedback coming in daily. It's such a high volume that you can never expect to keep up with everything if you just keep reading, right? It's a huge volume, and it's refreshing every day. and you would spend hours doing it manually. What do you need? Well, obviously, you need to discover the main customer issues, what your customers are faced with, what's on their mind, what in the software isn't working as expected, so that you can fix it, you can improve the quality, right? So that's what we need. We need to uncover the most common issues. We also need to quantify the urgency levels, right? So if there's 100 issues and 99 of them are faced by one person only, then probably that's not worth my time. But if there is one issue that's faced by a significant part of the user population, well, that's the moment when I need to jump into it, need to fix it. So how do I do this? I define two tasks. One task is the summarization. I would put all of the feedback that I got together, and I would tell the AI to summarize it and pick the top issues for me. The other thing, that's essentially what the PM was doing by hand, is a labeling task. I need for every comment that I receive to know which kind of issues it is describing, so that I can focus my attention to this particular thing. And of course, I need to not spend too much time with this. I need to do it in seconds instead of hours or days, which it would take otherwise. So, nice. Now let's unveil the architecture, right? So this is the architectural solution. I will have user feedback somewhere. I will have some random AI magic here that will process it, and then I will get out of it some interesting outputs, like the summarization that I every day receive somewhere, where I receive the feed of the daily issues. I will have a dashboard where I will track the trends and everything, and I will have some interactive tool that I could go into. Right, you might tell me, Michal, this sounds really nice, but surely it must be quite complicated to put something like this together, right? Well, it turns out it's not. For a minimum viable tech stack, we, of course, used what was available for us. So in our case, it was the database in GCP, in BigQuery. We used the Gemini API, and we then, with this Gemini, created another table with processed feedback. And from there on, all of these outputs could feed their data feed and could trigger emails or Slack messages or Teams posts, whatever. You could also feed a Looker Studio dashboard or a Power BI dashboard for these analytical views that I was talking about. And we could also feed our explorational tool, the UFO user feedback overview web page. If you want to do this at home, I suggest you contact your local cloud admin to ask if how you can replicate this into your own. I think this setup is cloud agnostic. Any major player will have this in their tech stack. You should be able to replicate the approach without issues. So, what's at the core of this is this ML generate text function. All of the AI applications that you are going to see within this presentation is based on one single function call within a SQL script. So that's really not complicated. What this does is that it calls endpoints deployed within your GCP instance. In the Vertex AI, it could be a Gemini endpoint or some Gemma endpoint, or I don't know, maybe even other third-party LLMs. And that will then produce an output. So you need to give it a table-like input with some prompt column. That's where your instructions are. And it will return a result column, and then you can do with that whatever else to feed the ecosystem. For the summarization, remember, take all of the feedback that you received and discover the top issues. You can run it on one row only, where you put all of the feedbacks together. For the labeling task, you can tell it to return a JSON, which then you can use as sort of data enriching. With the JSON, you will get values for new columns, like what kind of topics is this talking about? What kind of keywords does it contain? What is the translation to English? what is the sentiment that's in there. So all of this is done at once with one call of the big ML generate text function. And then this is stored into a database. Right, and with this, I can power several kinds of outputs. So, sorry, one heavy slide ahead of us. This is the actual way how you can call this, right? So let's unpack it. I promise this is the only code slide that I have here. So it's, as you can see, a SQL function call. You see that you select a model in here on line 2, and then you paste in a string variable that contains the instructions. In this string variable, you start with assigning a persona. You tell it that it's a product analyst. You tell it what it's going to do. In this case, it's going to analyze user feedback from a cybersecurity suite, right? And you will tell it what kind of topics you are trying to, you are currently tracking. That's essentially what the PM is doing, right? He has a table with some descriptions of individual topics so that you can label it accurately by hand. So we paste that in here into the query. And then we specify the output instructions, provide the user comment, and we are essentially done. This is then saved into a database, and from there I can feed out of the outputs. So I keep speaking about the outputs, so let's see what they are. So first output, I already mentioned this. This is a daily summary. I give all of the feedback in there and let the model pick the popular themes, popular topics that are coming up repeatedly. It will order them by prevalence, and it will tell me what the users are concerned about, right? This is done every day, so if it can help me reveal two kinds of issues. One kind of issues is something that was escalated recently, like if something broke and the order of usual issues has changed. For example, I would see a VPN-related topic at the top, then that's likely something that indicates that there is an issue. But if it's nothing unusual there, then it's also valuable because it will reveal to you the chronic issues what your users are facing on a regular basis, right? That's also valuable to know because you can then influence the PMs and other stakeholders about what needs to be dealt with. The other output is the analytical dashboard, and that would contain visuals just as this one. Like with this, you could track how an issue has evolved over time. Several things are to be seen here. For example, you can see that there is a. Let me show it like this. There is a change in trend here, right? That probably indicates that we fixed something, or you can see that. Here, a steady influx of new issues was growing up that might indicate that we missed something and rolled out a new release, for example, with issues. Or you can see several spikes. And when you see such a spike, the best thing to do is to figure out which date it appeared on and go back to the daily summary from that day and see if there is something changed, something weird, right? So that's the analytical dashboard output. The third output, and it turned out that this one is the most valuable one actually, is the interactive browsing tool. We let our stakeholders browse through the feedback on a website where they can apply whatever filters they are currently interested in. So for example, if I was interested in knowing what kind of issues are our users facing with account and licensing in Turkey, I could filter it down and display only feedback that's related to this particular issue. Let me draw your attention to the fact that this first feedback card contains the original quote in Turkish. Unfortunately, I don't speak Turkish. I also don't speak a lot of other languages, right? For example, if it was in Japanese, I'd have a problem. So fortunately, the translation kicked in and it provided me an English translation, all within that single one ML generate text call. And you can also see that several things are rejected, removed from the original comment. And I can't stress this enough. You need to make proper sure, if you do this at home, you need to make properly sure that you don't feed the AI with user personal sensitive information content, right? So put some sanitization in place. Right. Output number 2. In case where there is too much of the user feedback, even after we filter down to Turkish issues with licensing, for example, we allow stakeholders to ask ad hoc questions based on currently filtered data set, right? So if I didn't have enough time to read through all of the licensing related feedback, I could just ask the AI, and this will kick in the summarization mechanism and give you a ad hoc summary based on what you currently see. So this can reveal core customer issues in seconds instead of like hours or minutes. So why am I sharing all of this if it works only with our antivirus desktop application? In fact, this solution is replicable and it can be applied to any kind of user feedback. So we started with the N360. Then we realized that App Store reviews are also use this kind of format. You have an optional, you assign a score, a star score, and then you have an optional comment. And perhaps you receive hundreds or thousands of reviews per day. So it could be also interesting for you to somehow understand what the core issues are there, right? Because that's an opportunity. Then we added the NPS relationship survey because only difference is that you use a different score scale, but you can still analyze the comments, see what your customers are talking about when they explain if they would recommend you to their friends or family. Then we added a customer care satisfaction survey, and you can probably guess where this is going. This works for any kind of user feedback, even your user feedback. You may ask now, well, I'm hooked. How much does it cost? So currently we are processing about 6,000 comments per day. How much do you think it costs? Costs $6. So less than $0.01 per comment. I invite you to compare this to any commercially available solution, right? So maybe now you are interested in knowing what can you do to implement this at home. So it's simple. You need to be collecting user feedback. You need a database and a LLM API. If it's directly in your database, you're in luck. If it's not, you might have a bit of vibe coding ahead of you, but I think with today's tools, this shouldn't be too complicated to achieve. And finally, you need a dashboarding tool. That's everything you need. You don't need to build a custom website because all of the visuals that I showed you, all of the filtering functions, all of the, everything can be set up in a Looker Studio or Power BI because you can just display the feedbacks in a table or something. But wait, this is not all. This is where you start, right? So if you're excited about user feedback, I encourage you to gather a user feedback data set right now, paste it into, obviously remove sensitive information if it's there, right? Then paste it into a ChatGPT. Then try to infer the topics or summarizations. You don't even need to provide the knowledge base. You can create the knowledge base with the model. You can infer the topics, you can summarize, you can find something that you didn't expect, something useful or unexpected. And then you can present it to your stakeholders and see if they are interested in getting something like this for themselves. So with this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I wish the UFOs to guide your feedback analysis going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michals. We know that feedback is the breakfast of champions, so let's see what kind of questions you get from feedbacks. Is the presented approach implementable to Jira tickets? Like the goal is to get an automated idea if the project goes in the right direction?
Well, as long as you put all of the Jira tickets information into one sentence or one string, I think you could be able to replicate this for Jira tickets, right? Yeah, I'd be confident that this is possible.
No, I think that Jira has its own database, so like whatever can be migrated or inserted from one database to another database which supports LLM, it's possible.
Okay. Next question. Is the presented approach, it happened already, okay. How much time did it take to make sure that the generated output is correct?
I had it done in less than 2 weeks. Because the thing that you are competing with here is another human who is doing the summarization. So the bar is pretty low, right? And you just need to make sure that when a human analyst is doing a review of or a summarization of a I don't know of a data set, that his outputs are pretty much the same as what the AI is giving us. So that's precisely the way that we tested it for whenever we onboard new stakeholders, we let them to analyze it themselves, and then we present our summarization, that we compare it, and the result is that always it's pretty much the same.
Yeah. But also I need to emphasize that we have experience with hallucinating the models, like they were combining the results from yesterday, the day before yesterday, so we look that there are issues which are already solved there. So somehow we love AI and LLMs, but on the other hand, we still don't trust it.
Okay. We have 2 more questions. Are there third-party tools to sanitize the data of personal data, or do you need to build them from scratch?
So there is in every cloud solution, there is a data scraping service, right? For Google, in Google it's sensitive data protection, or I think it's called like that. So you can run this on top of your database. It will pseudonymize or remove all of the sensitive data. I think better way to describe it is that it will find it and encrypt it. Another option is to get a list of regular expressions that contain all of the known personal identifiable information contents and run the data through this. I recommend using a blend of these approaches.
Nothing to add. I see it in your eyes. Okay. Last question. What do you do if your company is not able to share any production database data with you?
Honestly, I think this is kind of a tough situation, because I'm thinking really how to answer this, because the real answer is I don't know. But I'm thinking myself, okay, let's say I'm in a role of the product manager. So there are user feedbacks, or users are commenting something, but as a product manager, I do not see those feedbacks. So how I'm working, how I'm deciding like what is supposed to be improved on a product, what is supposed to be fixed. So I don't know how to answer on this yet.
I have an idea how to answer this. So I think you need to be bold and explain what you need the data for, right? So perhaps there will be some glitches on the way, but without the data you are blind. You can't really, it will empower you, it will improve the quality. I don't see why the stakeholders shouldn't give you the access to the data, but prepare for a fight ahead. Yeah.
And the question is, okay, if it's your company, so that means there are your customers, so why you shouldn't be able to access the data?
Thank you very much, Michal. It was a pleasure. Another round of applause, please, to our presenters.